Shabbat Shalom. Our scripture reading for today is Isaiah chapter 60, verses 1, 3, 4, and 10. Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of Yahweh is risen upon thee. And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising. Lift up thine eyes round about, and see, all they gather themselves together. They come to thee. Thy son shall come from far, and thy daughter shall be nursed at thy side. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, great day.
Great day, the righteous marching, great day. Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall. Great day, the righteous marching, great day. Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall.
Chariot roll on the mountain top.
Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall.
Lions walk in the chariot stall.
Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall.
This is a day of jubilee.
Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall.
Yah has set his people free.
Yah's gonna build up Zion's walls. Great day, the righteous marching, great day. Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall.
We want no cowards in our band.
Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall.
We call for valiant-hearted men.
Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall.
Gonna take my breastplate, sword, and shield,
Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall.
and march out boldly in the field.
Yah's gonna build up Zion's walls. Great day, the righteous marching, great day. Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall. Great day, the righteous marching, great day. Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall.
Chariot roll on the mountain top.
Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall.
Lions walk in the chariot stall.
Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall.
This is a day of jubilee.
Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall.
Yah has set his people free.
Yah's gonna build up Zion's walls. Great day, the righteous marching, great day. Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall.
We want no cowards in our band.
Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall.
We call for valiant-hearted men.
Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall.
Gonna take my breastplate, sword, and shield,
Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall.
and march out boldly in the field.
Yah's gonna build up Zion's walls. Great day, the righteous marching, great day. Yah's gonna build up Zion's wall. Great day, the righteous marching, great day. Yah's gonna build up Zion.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication, and all uncleanness, or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right. Isaiah 44 and verse 5 says, one shall say, I am Yahweh's, and another shall call himself by the name of Yaakov. And another shall subscribe with his hand unto Yahweh, and surname himself by the name of Israel. In this one country alone, we have been called colored, blacks, Afro-American, African-American, and that's just this country. And I'm pretty sure we are the only people in history named after a haircut. I've not seen anywhere across the globe where anybody, I ain't seen no mullet American. I ain't seen no fade American. I ain't seen none of that. All of that is just what we've been called just here. And that's the good ones, the Black American, Afro-American, African. Those are good ones. Now we call something else in other circles. Okay? But that's just those. So today's sermon is entitled The Epithets of the Exiled. Now, epithet is an adjective or descriptive phrase expressing a quality or characteristic of the person or thing mentioned. Now, before we go into our reading, we are going to read an ABC News article from 2018. So we're going to read some things from this because a lot of times we need a little backdrop from something so that we can differentiate between what is our thoughts and what other people have put out there. Because a lot of times when you put forward something, people will say, okay, well, you know, that's their feeling. That's how they feel. So let's go over a few things here, and we're going to see what was put out on mainstream news, and then we're going to go from there. Go ahead, bro.
Israeli rabbi under fire for calling black people monkeys. The chief rabbi of the Sephardic community used two slurs in his speech.
So we're going straight to the jugular. Go ahead.
Tel Aviv, Israel. Israel's Sephardic chief rabbi Yitzhak Yosef is the subject of sharp criticism today, following his last weekly sermon when he compared black people to monkeys as he explained the blessing of blooming trees during the Hebrew month of Nisan.
Now that's when you say, you going out there. You go, these trees remind me of these monkeys. I mean, now, how you put them two? Yeah, I mean, he just went right from blooming trees to monkeys. Go ahead.
Footage of his sermon was posted by the Israeli news site Ynet. In the video, the rabbi talks about black people in the streets of America whose parents are white, then calls the black son of a white couple a monkey.
Now, pause. Now, remember, they have this thing, I'm Jewish through my mother. So I need for you to see doctrine mixed in with the statements. And if you don't really understand the basis of the doctrine, then some of the statements, you're not going to fully understand just how low the statement is, because you don't understand enough about the doctrine. Okay? Now, in their doctrine, the Jewish man can go off anywhere and have kids, but the only one that would be officially Jewish is the kid that he had by the wife. Why? That was the statement, I'm Jewish through my mother. All right? So none of his other kids would be Jewish. Only the one by his wife. So you need to have all of that in the background as you read some of these things, or else you're not really catching all of the foulness of it. Go ahead.
He also uses the Hebrew word Cushite to describe black people, which is widely considered a racial slur in Israel.
And we're going to have to go into why that is called or thought to be a racial slur in Israel. It is very interesting. Go ahead.
The office of the rabbi responded saying that Yosef was quoting from the Talmud, the book of Jewish laws and traditions.
All right. So, right off the rip, he authorizes his anti-Semitism by saying, well, it was written in the Talmud. I was only quoting what was in the Talmud. And people want to know why I call it the Talmud. He went right to, this was his excuse. So in other words, I'm not racist, the book is. But we're going to get into some of that as well. Go ahead.
The Anti-Defamation League, a New York-based Jewish advocacy group that works to combat anti-Semitism and racism around the world, tweeted that the comment was utterly unacceptable.
I'm sorry. When was the Anti-Defamation League against racism? What day that happened? When was that? Because they are all about one simple form of racism, and that is anti-Semitism. They only care about the ones that affect them. They're not accustomed to dealing with anything that has anything to do with any other people. And that's why it's separated. There's racism and then there's anti-Semitism. It is separated for a reason, so that you understand they can do whatever they want to do. They will never be called anti-Semitic, because it only applies to how people treat them, not how they treat people. So they can be a racist, but they will never be an anti-Semitic. You will be anti-Semitic. The entire world will be anti-Semitic, but they will never be that. So even when they're racist, they're still better than you. Go ahead.
A member of the Israeli Knesset, Penina Tamano-Shata, the first ever Israeli parliamentarian of Ethiopian origin, told Ynet that she finds Yosef's comments degrading. She reminded the rabbi that his father and and another of Israel's chief rabbis, the late Ovida Yosef, supported the immigration of Ethiopian Jews who are black to Israel. Pro-Palestinian activist group BDS South Africa issued a statement claiming the vile comments are an example of Israel's treatment of African asylum seekers and its Palestinian neighbors. The Israeli rabbi's views are vile, but sadly, also a reflection of Israel's ongoing and widespread racism against Africans as well as the indigenous Palestinian people.
Now, this is 2018 ABC News, all right? So make sure you understand where all of this is coming from. And I know you hear Priest Kish reading, but that's not his word. All right? Go ahead.
Israel has two chief rabbis, one heading the Sephardi community that includes Jews who had immigrated to Israel from Arab countries in the Middle East and North Africa. The other heading the Ashkenazi community comprised of Jews who have mostly immigrated from Europe. Footage of his sermon was posted by the Israeli news site Ynet. In the video, the rabbi talks about black people in the streets of America.
All right, so we want to deal with different parts of this.
Okay.
This part right here, because it was a lot said up there. So let's first start dealing with some of the things that were in here. One of the things that was said was Yosef, the rabbi, was quoting from the Talmud. So we're going to begin today's sermon in Deuteronomy chapter 4. So that's the part that we're dealing with right here. And there's several things. It was the quoting from the Talmud, and then we're going to deal with this why they have this word listed as a slur. Deuteronomy chapter 4, and we're going to start at verse 1 and read to verse 14.
Now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that you may live, and go in and possess the land which Yahweh Elohim of your fathers gives you.
So, therefore, hearken unto the statutes and the judgments which I teach you. So, if there are statutes and judgments that he's teaching you, if we were to find a secular word to encompass all of that, what he just said, statutes and judgments, what would that secular word be? No, a secular word, not something that we would use. The law is something we would say. Statutes and judgments. Close? What did they say they got from the Talmud? What was the Talmud? It says they quoted from the Talmud, which is the book of Jewish laws and tradition. You got to learn how to hear what you hear. That's a lie. It's got to jump out to you. That is an absolute lie. The book of the law is what we're reading. Traditions come from the statutes and judgments. Those traditions are handed down from generation to generation. Why? Because it was given as the statutes and judgments. You need to understand, he used a false book as a backup for a false statement. See, there's a reason why it looked like, I knew it threw Priest Kish off, because he was like, look, I already read this. No, there's a reason I put it in there 2 times. Because I knew you weren't going to catch it the first one. It just went right back over, just smooth like butter. You didn't even catch that he just told you that the Talmud was the book of the law and the traditions. And then nobody sit up in their seat. That should have made you lose your footing. Keep reading.
You shall not add on to the word which I command you.
If you add a whole book, he said don't add the words. Then added whole books. All of these books, what the Talmud is opinions of so-called rabbis. So each rabbi has, instead of reading Deuteronomy chapter 4, each rabbi gives his synopsis of Deuteronomy chapter 4. So you have 50 different ideals about what Deuteronomy 4 is. Instead of reading Deuteronomy 4, you have everybody's thought of Deuteronomy 4. Do you understand when you read 50 different opinions of Deuteronomy 4, you know that you don't know a damn thing about Deuteronomy 4? Because now you got everybody's opinion. And this is what he used as his excuse for saying, yeah, they monkeys. So that same book that they claim is where the laws and traditions come. And understand now, we're not talking about no backwoods rabbi. They just told you that these were the chief ones, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. So then I would say, if I'm going to say something regarding that, then I would say that maybe that's a credible source. Because this is a person who's supposed to be in charge. So if that individual thinks that, how many other individuals under them think that? Because they're teaching. And now you have some people that say some things against it. But maybe the issue was he wasn't supposed to say that in public. Maybe that's the real issue. That he said it in public. Because, hey, if he was bold enough to say that in open forum, he has said that many times in closed forum. So are they really upset that he said it? Are they upset that he said it in public? Go ahead.
Isn't that what happened with what's his name, Charles, that owned the basketball team? It's because it was caught on tape with him saying that black people are looked upon as worse than dogs in Israel.
Yep.
So once again, if it was said in private, nothing would have came out of it.
Absolutely nothing would have came of it. Only when the recording was played, now all of a sudden everybody is appalled. But I don't remember, everything going. It was only because he got caught saying it. It ain't like they went into to Israel to try to fix anything or do anything. He said, look, this is just commonplace. This is how it is on the streets of Israel. So you're talking about a billionaire Jewish man telling you how it is on the streets of Israel. Yet we are sending goo gobs of money to the richest people, feeling sorry for them. And when you get there, they're gonna throw words at you that you don't even understand. You don't even understand. And when they yell out these words, you got to understand how deep it goes, and we're going to get there in a second. Go ahead.
Neither shall you diminish aught from it, that you may keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, which I command you.
Wait a minute. If you diminish aught from it, then it's going to cause you a problem in keeping the law that he has given unto you. Well, if you have a whole nother book that those opinions override his book, what are you saying? Elohim is not who you're following then. You're following the man about what he thought about Elohim, not Elohim. See, part of the things that Moshe was dealing with, he says, they need to understand that I was sent to do these things, that I have not done these things of my own doing. By accepting another book of a man's opinion, you are openly accepting a man's doing over Yahweh's. That's the reason why we read so much. So you can understand, I might have a way of saying something that might be different. But where it's coming from is this book. And that's why I got to read it so you can understand. Those were my words. Go ahead.
Your eyes have seen what Yahweh did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that followed Baal Peor, Yahweh your Elohim has destroyed them from among you. But you that did cleave unto Yahweh, your Elohim, are alive, every one of you this day. Behold, I've taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh my Elohim commanded me, that you should do so in the land whether you go to possess it.
So Moshe is not delivering you his words. He's delivering unto you Yahweh's words. This is where your tradition comes from. Your tradition does not come from the Talmud. Go ahead.
Keep therefore and do them. For this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations.
If this your wisdom and understanding amongst the other nations, how can it not be your traditions? You got to learn how to dissect a lie. Go ahead.
which shall hear all these statutes, and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great, who has Elohim so near unto them, as Yahweh our Elohim is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great, that has statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day? Only take heed to yourself, and keep your soul diligently, lest you forget the things which your eyes have seen, and lest they depart from your heart all the days of your life. But teach them your sons and your sons' sons.
Right. That's why we're reading out of the Torah, not what somebody think about the Torah. See, I can't say that I've taught my sons the traditions of my Elohim when I say read a book that talk about the book. See, that's that stuff when you cheating in school. When they tell you you got a book report, well, let me get those cliff notes. But you find out real quick when you're dealing with one of them teachers and you think she lazy, but you don't understand she bought that action. So she done gave out these book reports and it's 30 books and you saying ain't no way this sister done read no 30 books. No, she bought that action. She read all 30 of them. It's 30 of y'all and y'all come up there. I'm going to catch her slipping. I'm going to catch her slipping. I got them cliff notes and I'm about to get her. So you get to talking and she like, he think I just started doing this yesterday. Oh, he's so cute. Look at him. She let you talk for a little bit. She said, that's nice. So it sounds like that answer was on page 17 of the cliff notes, ain't it? What? Yeah, I got it. Now let me ask you some real questions. Uh-oh. Then you find out, oh, no. She read the book that she told you to read that you supposed to be giving a report on. And you think you gonna catch her slipping. You can't catch her slipping because she read the book. And she making an example out of you so the rest of the 29 don't try it. Now for the rest of y'all, you understand something? Miss Finley about that life, you understand? So you can come in here and you can play if you want to, all right? You can play if you want to. But these book reports are serious. She's not playing with you. Well, the same thing. Hey, man, we read this book. You can't come tell me something else and tell me you got that racism out. No. You ain't get it out of this book. You ain't get that out of this book. See? You have to play that game somewhere else. Because, see, what about that life? Go ahead.
Especially the day that you stood before Yahweh your Elohim in Horeb, when Yahweh said unto me, gather me the people together, and I'll make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. And you came there and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burnt with fire unto the midst of heaven, with darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. And Yahweh spake unto you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude, only you heard a voice. And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments, and he wrote them upon 2 tables of stone. And Yahweh commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments, that you might do them in the land, whether you go over to possess it.
If there are statutes and judgments that you are to perform in the land, those are your traditions. The laws come forth out of the Torah. Not one law was written in the Talmud. Not one. Moshe never heard of a Talmud. All right, let's not get it twisted. You need to understand when somebody says, man, you worshiping the adversary, the devil. You need to understand that the very people that's in the core of this Torah, nobody in the Torah has ever heard of a Talmud. But somebody gonna tell you that it's the laws and tradition of the Jews. What Jews? Which one? Right. Let's go to Revelation chapter 22. But you see how smooth some lies are? See, out of all the stuff that was said, there's other things that got you in arms. You see how you jump toward the racial slur and the anti-Semitic part, and you let that Talmud slip by you? Okay, all right. Trying to show you how people are ruling over you. They throw you something for you to grab hold of so that you'll miss the real thing that was really against you. So you're so busy talking about whether it's anti-Semitic or racist, you missed the biggest thing. They just changed your book of law and tradition. But you too busy talking about it, call me a nigga. They changed your book of law and tradition. But he threw the N-word out there. So you'll go running and chase that. But the biggest harm was done to you by that smooth part at the end. Revelation 22, and let's start at verse 11.
He that is unjust, let him be unjust still. And he which is filthy, let him be filthy still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be.
Wait a minute. If he's going to give every man according as his work shall be, that means every man is going to get the payment that his work deserves. If that's good work, then you're going to get a good payment. If that's bad work, you're going to get a bad payment. But you're going to get paid. You're going to get paid. Don't you worry about that. There's somewhere a spiritual check with your name on it. You gonna dance when you get your check, or you gonna cry when you get your check? Same thing that happened here. You get your check and find out that hey, somebody done hit you for something. Hey, you crying when you get that check, cause you thought you had a certain amount of money on that check until you realize they done garnished it. So I mean, you see the top line of what your check was supposed to be. Okay. Go ahead.
I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have a right to the tree of life.
Right. So blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life. So then it is in other people's best interest to make sure that you don't know that culture. Because the last thing a person who's trying to have your things is for you to understand who you are and what you're supposed to be doing. It's the absolute last thing. Go ahead.
And may enter in through the gates into the city. But without are dogs, and sorcerers, and whoremongers, and murderers, and idolaters, and whosoever loves and makes a lie. I, Yahshua, have sent my...
Whoa. Whosoever loves and makes a lie. Who put together that Talmud? Who loved that Talmud? Oh, okay. I'm just reading the book. If you have a problem, make sure you make all of your emails and letters to Yahshua and see if you can find heaven's address and send it there. Keep going, bro.
I, Yahshua, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of Dawid and the bright and morning star.
Right, but somebody done told you that they the Star David. Somebody told you that they got flags. This is the Star David. The Star David you don't even believe in. The Star David is Yahshua. You don't want nothing to do with Yahshua. Okay, whosoever makes and believes a lie. Go ahead.
And the Spirit and the bride say, come. And let him that hears say, come. And let him that is athirst come. And whosoever will, let him take the water of life freely. For I testify unto every man that hears the words of the prophecy of this book. If any man shall add on to these things, Elohim shall add on to him the plagues that are written in this book.
Okay, all right. So all right. So we getting down to it. Let's go.
And if any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, Elohim shall take away his part out of the book of life.
Wait a minute. Okay, go ahead.
and out of the holy city,
Okay.
and from the things which are written in this book. He which testifies these things says, surely I come quickly. Amen. Even so, come, Adonai Yahshua. The grace of our Adonai Yahshua HaMashiach be with you all. Amen.
All right. Won't he do it? Look here. Okay. So, and those not my words. All right. Those not my words. So we just went from the beginning and the end. Wait a minute. So we read this in Deuteronomy, and then we go to Revelation. I would say then that the Father and the Son is on one accord from the top to the bottom. So then we're going to have to see some things here. So the next part I want to go into is how they have this Hebrew word to describe black people and how it is used as a slur. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 18. See, sometimes you read an article and you just say, there's a bunch of hogwash. And sometimes you got to break that hogwash down. You got to wash all parts of the pig. So we just got his head just then, but there's a lot more dirtiness on this pig that we got to wash. So let's go. 2 Samuel 18, and we're going to start this at verse 19.
Then said Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, let me now run, and bear the king tidings, how that Yahweh has avenged him of his enemies. And Joab said unto him, you shall not bear tidings this day, but you shall bear tidings another day. But this day you shall bear no tidings, because the king's son is dead. Then said Joab to Cushai, go tell the king what you have seen. And Cushai bowed himself unto Joab, and ran. Then said Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, yet again to Joab, but howsoever, let me, I pray you, also run after Cushai. And Joab said, wherefore will you run, my son, seeing that you have no tidings ready? But howsoever, said he, let me run. And he said unto him, run. Then Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain, and overran Cushai. And Dawid sat between the two gates, and the watchman went up to the roof over the gate onto the wall, and lifted up his eyes, and looked. And behold, a man running alone. And the watchman cried, and told the king. And the king said, if he be alone, there is tidings in his mouth. And he came apace, and drew near. And the watchman saw another man running. And the watchman called unto the porter, and said, behold, another man running alone. And the king said, he also brings tidings. And the watchman said, methinketh the running of the foremost is like the running of Ahimaaz the son of Zadok. And the king said, he is a good man, and comes with good tidings. And Ahimaaz called, and said unto the king, all is well. And he fell down to the earth upon his face before the king, and said, blessed be Yahweh Elohim, which has delivered up the men that lifted up their hand against my master the king. And the king said, is the young man Absalom safe? And Ahimaaz answered, when Joab sent the king's servant, and me your servant, I saw a great tumult, but I knew not what it was. And the king said unto him, turn aside, and stand here. And he turned aside, and stood still. And, behold, Cushai came. And Cushai said, tidings, my master the king, for Yahweh has avenged you this day of all them that rose up against you. And the king said unto Cushai, is the young man Absalom safe? And Cushai answered, the enemies of my master the king, and all that rise up against you to do you hurt, be as that young man is. And the king was much moved, and went up to the chamber over the gate, and wept. And as he went, thus he said, O my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would Elohim I had died for you, O Absalom, my son, my son.
All right. Now, in that writing, we find them calling this person Cushai, or how they pronounce it is going to be a little different. Now, was that his name? What is an epithet? An adjective used to describe a person or the characteristics. Let's go to the definition.
Cushai, patronymic from H3568, a Cushite or descendant of Cush.
A Cushite. Now, read the pronunciation of how they pronounce Cushite.
Cushi.
Cushi. All right. Do y'all remember the video that was floating around where the Israelis was cussing out the Ethiopian and they was yelling, Cushi, Cushi? That video was floating around. All right. Now, why is it that is interesting on several levels? All right. So you have to then wonder once you read this, it's Cushi, Cushite. Then at the end it says Ethiopians. Now, you already know that they're Ethiopian. Why did he go so far as to call him a Cushi? Now you're about to get to something now. Read the definition on the next.
Phalasha. The derogatory name Phalasha refers to a community of Ethiopian Jews or to a member of this community, most of whom now live in Israel. The Amharic word Phalasha means outsider, exile.
Okay, outsider or exile. So you have more epithets of these people. Keep going.
And this name was given to the Ethiopian Jews by other Ethiopians.
It was given to the Ethiopian Jews by other Ethiopians. They knew that there's a part of those people that are not of them. So the other Ethiopians gave them this name. So this is a derogatory term. That's why you just can't walk up to at the Chevron and ask, Ethiopian, hey man, you Phalasha? What? I mean, you have to consider, you know what I'm saying? If somebody just walked up to you and said, hey, you nigga, what? What you say? Are you a nigga? What? Who you talking to? Well, that's what you just asked him in public. Go ahead.
The Beta Israel, also known as Ethiopian Jews, are a Jewish community that lived for centuries in the area of the kingdom of Aksum and the Ethiopian Empire, which is currently divided between the modern-day Amhara and Tigray regions of Ethiopia.
All right. So, to get a little bit more understanding on this, let's go to Genesis chapter 10. So you got to wonder if somebody's going to say something derogatory to you. Y'all know we get derogatory like right here, right now. Who has to go to your great-granddaddy name to say something derogatory? Unless there's a reason. Genesis chapter 10, and we're going to read verses 1 through 7.
Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
All right, so these are the three lineages here, Shem, Ham, Japheth. Go ahead.
And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Midiai, and Yavan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tiras. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Riphtah, and Togarmah.
All right, pay attention. Ashkenaz is the son of Gomer that comes from Japheth. Go ahead.
And the sons of Yavan, Elisha, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles.
By these were the isles of the Gentiles. So every name that you just heard before are Gentiles. Now, we're gonna circle back there just for that very reason. Keep going.
By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his language, after their families, in their nations. And the sons of Ham, Cush.
Wait a minute. So right off the rip, when they called the Ethiopian or anybody black Cushi, let me explain to you what's happening. They're trying to make your lineage be of Ham. So why would a person, and it is an amazing trick, because anytime anybody else speaks of ethnicity, it is, oh no, we ain't finna have none of that Khazar talk. We not finna talk about no lineage. Well, the whole derogatory term of Cushi is a lineage slur. So they went all the way past Ethiopian and went to Cush. A regular man don't know nothing about no Cush. I mean, unless he know Pookie down there, and they. But that's a different class. That's a different class. That's a different class. Keep reading.
And Mizraim, and Phut, and Canaan, and the sons of Cush, Seba, and Havilah, and Sabta, and Raamah, and Sapteca, and the sons of Raamah, Sheba, and Dedan.
All right. So now, when we look at then this name, I need to read something here. Ham signifies burnt or black, and this name was peculiarly significant of the regions allotted to his family. Now, we got to slow this down. To the Cushites, or Cushi, or the descendants of Cush, were allotted the hot southern regions of Asia along the shores of the Persian Gulf, Susanna or Kazakhstan. All right? That's the separation. To the sons of Canaan. Israel was called Canaan land. Palestine and Syria. Now, when we think of Syria, do we think of anybody who burnt black? So understand what's all happening. We're mixing up the current inhabitants and making those people as the original descendants. Where is that Abraham came from? It said, what? Hold on. So this is how the game is played on you. So when somebody starts saying, yeah, man, he came out of Syria, you're like, well, you know what, maybe he can. Because then you automatically go back to the people who live in Syria now, and you say, well, those must be the people, so Abraham must look like that. It says Canaan land. Canaan daddy named Ham, who's burnt black. The original land, Palestine and Syria. Okay. All right. Then it says to the sons of Mizraim was the area of Egypt, Libya, and Africa. So we have to then understand what we're talking about and why they want to attribute Cush to you, Cushi to you. Because they are saying, what? You're a Hamite. And they're an authentic Israelite. Understand the game. See, there's certain things that if you don't think about it, you don't even know the depth of how well they did something to you. And if you listen to the term Cushi, and that was what? A Cushite. What do you think Israeli mean? Israelite. That's why it ends, so the Cushi is Cushite. Israeli is Israelite. So understand what's happening here. Go ahead, brother. You got something?
You know, when you brought up the whole thing of how our perception of modern day Syrians, you know, Deuteronomy 26:5, it says, and you shall speak and say before Yahweh your Elohim, a Syrian ready to perish was my father.
Yes, sir.
And he went down into Egypt.
There you go. There you go. So what did we envision when we read that? What did we envision? Well, you know, they got blacker as they came down, you know, and then what had happened was, you know, they had been working a lot in the sun, you know, because, you know, it says, you know, saying that my father, you know, I've been working in the vineyard. Right, that's what you thought. Right, people playing mind games on you. They know good and well they are not the original inhabitants of that land, and they're using that to rule over you with it. Let's go to Acts chapter 21. Tell people all the time, go down the street. Right down here, you're going to run into that mountain. You're going to see them Confederate heroes carved on the side of that mountain. Don't think because we live here that was us. Go somewhere and tell somebody, yeah, General Lee was black. You might die. let you be around the right redneck after he done had a few Budweiser. And you let that slide out your mouth. Well, I mean, it's in Stone Mountain, and Stone Mountain is obviously black, and it's a mountain, and it's carved on the mountain. Clearly, General Lee must be black. You better run. That is a loved and revered man among rednecks everywhere. But I tell people I love him too. Why would I not love General? Why would I not love Robert E. Lee? Because of him, they lost the war. This idiot tried to take the same hill and got everybody killed. He is my hero alike. People saying, take down the Confederate flag. I was like, no, give me one. Acts chapter 21, and let's start at verse 37.
And as Saul was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, May I speak unto you? Who said, Can you speak Greek?
Look at it. They looked at his complexion and wondered, can you speak Greek? Wait a minute, who taught you how to speak Greek? Go ahead.
Are not you that Egyptian, which before these days...
Wait a minute. Oh, not you that Egyptian? Wait a minute. Ain't you that cushy? Ain't that you? Ain't you that burnt black? Interesting. Go ahead.
Which before these days made an uproar, and leadeth out into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murderers. But Saul said, I am a man, which am a Yehudim of Tarsus.
So he's got the look at no, man, I'm a Jew of Tarsus. Let me tell you something. I was born abroad, so that's why he has the ability to move about. And that's why Yahweh chose him. Yahweh like, no, you've been pre-chosen for this job. See, the rest of these brothers can't move about. First of all, they don't know these languages. And then they don't have the papers. You got the papers. Y'all know it's certain parts. Y'all know we got to have somebody with papers. We always had, all right, which one of y'all got a license? All right, you driving. That might not be his car. But he don't want one in there with license. That the brother with the car ain't got a license at first. He got a car, but he ain't got no license. Now, where we going, somebody got to have some license. So look here, Jimmy, you driving. How you just going to tell him he driving my car? Because you ain't got no license. We all going to jail. You drive. Okay. Go ahead.
A city in Cilicia, a citizen of no mean city. And I beseech you, suffer me to speak unto the people. And when he had given him license, Saul stood on the stairs and beckoned with the hand unto the people. And when there was made a great silence, he spake unto them in the Hebrew language, saying,
Hebrew language. He didn't speak Hebrew. He didn't do that stuff that they got T.D. Jakes on recording doing, that stuff Creflo doing, where they just talk that gibberish, that goo gobbler and tell people that they're speaking in tongues. He spoke in the Hebrew tongue, which means he spoke in the Hebrew language. But he had just spoke Greek. He spoke Greek so that they would understand who and what he was. Then he's able to go and speak Hebrew just like that. Peter wouldn't be able to do that. Peter would have probably took out running anyway. Oh, here they come. He out. He out. He wasn't built for that. This man was built for this kind of turmoil. This is why when you think you want somebody else's job, you might want to leave them folk alone. You might not be built for that job. Read the next graphic, bro.
Jeremiah 13 and verse 23. Can the Ethiopian change his skin?
Can the Ethiopian change his skin? Understand something. When you're talking about this whole thing of Egypt, you have to understand that it is included, they're included in that Egyptian empire. Understand, all of them were Hamites. So it wasn't just one group right there when they are ruling. Hey, when you are ruling in your most ultimate part of power. You ain't gonna slide your brother a kingdom? Look at man, you man, I got so much land, I got so much stuff. Won't you run this over here, man? Just you know what I'm saying, holler at me every month, bring me a little something. Come to my holler at your boy. Come to my. Ain't you gonna do that? If I get the chance, I'm gonna do it. Go ahead.
You know, it's interesting how this one phrase in the book, how Yahweh allowed for this to be preserved, just like their skin color has been preserved. You got this battle of who is the real Jews, and you're looking at white and you're looking at black. Say, can the Ethiopian change his skin? Because from then to now, they still look the same.
Now, check out. Look at how Yahweh do. That one of those videos is funny because one of the Nas songs talk about how they shot the nose off. You know what I'm saying? The pyramids. And how that they were able to keep changing the Sphinx. I mean, how they was using that to eventually change the look of those people. Cause you know, hey, it's hard to say. You know, yeah, man, they look like this when they got that big old Negroidal nose sitting up there. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and they even told us to hate our nose. You know, Michael Jackson cut his every album. he did the same thing they did. He kept shooting off his nose. So they took all the noses off there so they can change the ethnicity. But what did Yahweh do? He connect you to a people that they not gonna change. They don't have no reason to change theirs. So he connect you to a people. Can the Ethiopian change his skin? Well, I mean, y'all confuse my people for the Ethiopians. So message, pick up, bing. So they're gonna spend all their time over here trying to change what the Israelite look like, and he just gonna say, "Can the Ethiopian change his skin?" And they keep, you know, mistaking y'all for Egyptians and Ethiopians. Interesting. What do people say across the street? Are y'all Ethiopian? Right. Good.
Or the leopard his spots. Then may you also do good that are accustomed to do evil.
All right, now let's back up. Let's go to Acts chapter 13. See, this is why, you know, people say, I saw the whole thing where they were talking about, T.D. Jakes and the whole Diddy thing and blah, blah, blah. They can say whatever they want about, T.D. Jakes. T.D. Jakes served a purpose for them. And what that main purpose is if we are the ones singing and dancing, we ain't doing this. So, okay, yeah, once you get caught up in something, they're going to throw him under the bus and say, yeah. No, they wanted him to do that. Because if he kept teaching, y'all remember the biggest part of his downfall when it started? Back up. Back up. Remember, we had not heard one bad thing, at least I hadn't, until he messed around and said he was a Jew.
Igbo.
From the what tribe? From the Igbo tribe. Hit the brakes. Once he said that, the next video, he said, I'm a Gentile. He was hugging a white man. I'm a Gentile. He a Gentile. Won't you like to be a Gentile too? Wait a minute, what? Who got to him from the time he said he was a Jew from the Igbo tribe? The next thing, he was Gentiled out. Oh, he went a little bit too far. See, as long as he was singing and dancing and shouting and woman, thou art loosed, he's fine. It's when he start getting into here, he's going to have some problems. Why? Because there's too many people listening. If he get into this, they're going to have some problems. So they want him to do that. So don't let all of this stuff fool you. Acts chapter 13, and we're going to read verses 1 through 3.
Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon that was called Nigger, And Lucius,
Simeon, now, wait a minute. Now, I need to break this down to you. His name is Simeon.
Mm-hmm.
But his epithet is nigga. What? His name, that wasn't nigga, wasn't his name. Nigga was his description. Like we got friends, you know, white boy Mike. Hey, apparently this is one eye, but you know, nigga Simeon. What? This kid, hey, this the book. I didn't write this. You got a problem? Make sure you tell Yahweh. See if you can find the address of wherever it is, and make sure you send that email right there. And Simeon, that was called nigga. Who gave him this name, this title? And why they just wanted to call him nigga? And I mean, apparently, it was just, if they thought it was so bad, if it wasn't accepted, man, would they have just put that in the book? And then we let everybody tell us that that's Niger. I see nigga. I know when I see a nigga. Hey, you can't tell me when I see a nigga that I done seen a Niger. Ain't nobody, trust me, show up in the dog alley and somebody getting out their car, see if they're going to say, I saw a Niger. Nah, brother, that ain't what they say. That ain't what they going to see. That ain't what they going to say, what they saw here. Go ahead. Read, Niger. I'll just play it. Go ahead.
and Lucius of Cyrene, and Menahem, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch, and Saul. As they ministered to the Adonai and fasted, the Holy Spirit said, Separate me, Barnabas and Saul, for the work whereunto I have called them. And when they had fasted and prayed and laid their hands on them, they sent them away.
All right. So we understand that then this is a approved brother in the word. Now go ahead, let's read the definition of Niger.
Nigger from G.
There it is. Thank you, bro. Correct me.
From G3526, nigger.
There you go. See, the pronunciation tells you what it is. It ain't no Niger. Them two E's. I really want to sing that N-I-G-G-E-R. Nigga. You remember that song? Y'all remember that song? That was Flavor Flav. That was Public Enemy. Y'all don't know. Go ahead, bro. Boy, my censorship committee they over there writing down, boy, I'm going to have so many. The quality control report on this is going to be horrible. I am failing already. Go ahead, bro.
Of Latin origin.
Latin.
Black. Nigger. A Christian nigger.
Look at that, a Christian nigga. boy. They make something new every day, don't they? All right, let's go to the next, because now we're going to go back to something else that was written. Read at graphic 18.
Israel has two chief rabbis, one heading the Sephardi community that includes Jews who had immigrated to Israel from Arab countries in the Middle East.
Now, this is all coming from the original ABC article, so we're going back to that because we're going to go into it, so I want to refresh your memory. Go ahead.
And North Africa. The other heading the Ashkenazi community, comprised of Jews who have mostly immigrated from Europe.
All right. So, now, what you may find interesting is that when the slurs are made against other ethnic groups by the so-called Israelis, they connect directly to lineage as Cushi. That went directly to lineage. Now, when people bring up lineage against the occupiers, they are all of a sudden called anti-Semitic. Interesting. So their racial slurs go directly to lineage. But when other people start saying, well, wait a minute, I need you to prove your lineage. We're not going to talk about that Khazar stuff. Now y'all talking about lineage. But your racial epithet was all about lineage. You could have easily just called me a nigga, but you said Cushi. You could have easily said the N-word. Hell, the New Testament said nigga didn't have no problem with it. Why did you have to go all the way back to Cushi? Because that way you can say I have no right to the land by using that one word. Understand? Learn how the game is played. Let's go Genesis 10. And now we're going to read and pay attention to verses 1 through 3. Go ahead.
Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. And the sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Midiai, and Yavan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tiras. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz.
So, when it talks about this, there were two main rabbis. One is a Sephardi who immigrated from Arab countries. The other, leading the Ashkenazi community, was mostly from Europe. Now, when we go lineage-wise, we look and we find the progenitor of the Gentiles, Japheth, one of his sons, Gomer, then the next, Ashkenaz. So we find that then consistent with what this article said. They come from Europe. Why? They are Europeans. Which means what? They have absolutely no Shemitic blood whatsoever. Because this is going through the sons of Japheth. So the whole term of anti-Semitic does not fit whatsoever. Because they do not have a drop of Semitic blood. So says the article, so says the book. Let everything be established by 2 or more witnesses. Okay. Go ahead, bro.
So as we're pointing these things out, do you think the Sephardic community is pointing that out to the Ashkenazi community, which then causes them problems all around?
Most definitely. They are. And it didn't start until we start doing this. And once we started doing this, there became a bigger rift between the Sephardic and the Ashkenazi. See, they're fighting each other because, you know, the Sephardic is saying, well, they can prove that you ain't one of them, but they can't prove it to us. See, they can prove yours. See, so we got to distance ourselves from you. So now, there's a rift there, but understand what the rift is. So these people done went and somebody done taught them Nigers, you know, that Ashkenaz is a Gentile. So now they want separation. So let's go into a little bit more. Let's go 2 Kings chapter 18. Second Kings 18, and let's start this at verse 1. So it says now the Sephardic, they immigrated from Arab countries.
Second Kings chapter 18 and verse 1. Now it came to pass in the 3rd year of Hoshea, son of Elah, king of Israel, that Hezekiah, son of Ahaz, king of Yehudah, began to reign. 25 years old was he when he began to reign. And he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Abiah, the daughter of Zechariah. And he did that which was right in the sight of Yahweh, according to all that David his father did. He removed the high places, and brake the images, and cut down the groves, and brake in pieces the brazen serpent that Moshe had made. For unto those days the children of Israel did burn incense to it, and he called it Nehushtan. And he trusted in Yahweh Elohim of Israel, so that after him was none like him among all the kings of Yehudah, nor any that were before him. For he clave to Yahweh, and departed not from following him, but kept his commandments, which Yahweh commanded Moshe. And Yahweh was with him, and he prospered whithersoever he went forth. And he rebelled against the king of Assyria and served him not. He smote the Philistines, even unto Gaza, and the borders thereof from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city. And it came to pass in the 4th year of King Hezekiah, which was the 7th year of Hoshea son of Elah, king of Israel, that Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, came up against Samaria and besieged it. And at the end of 3 years they took it. Even the 6th year of Hezekiah, that is the 9th year of Hoshea, king of Israel, Samaria was taken. And the king of Assyria did carry away Israel unto Assyria, and put them in Halah and in Habor by the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes, because they obeyed not the voice of Yahweh their Elohim, but transgressed his covenant, and all that Moshe the servant of Yahweh commanded, and would not hear them nor do them.
Now, the first thing you have to deal with here, as you are reading, you have the king of Assyria did carry away Israel unto Assyria. Then you have these other writings where it says, okay, these Sephardic people are people who immigrated from Arab countries. So the whole part of how Israel got into those other countries was captivity. So when these people just say they immigrated, well, how did you get in that other place to start with? Interesting. Go ahead.
Now in the 14th year of King Hezekiah did Sennacherib, king of Assyria, come up against all the fenced cities of Yehudah and took them. And Hezekiah, king of Yehudah, sent to the king of Assyria to Lachish, saying, I have offended. Return from me. That which you putteth on me will I bear. And the king of Assyria appointed unto Hezekiah of Yehudah 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold.
So once you're under tribute, you got to start paying tax. So here we go. We don't even see Yahweh's, the divine order in things. We will sit here and complain about, Yahweh says, we supposed to give him 10%. That's way too much. Wait till them people come in. Wait till them people come in when they say, no. We believe in 10% too. Oh, okay. So y'all like Yahweh. Yeah, but it's different. No, you going to keep 10%. What? Yeah. You going to give us 90%. And you going to live off the 10. Now you wish you would have obeyed Yahweh. But it always take a foot on our neck for us to figure that out. We don't ever figure that out until the foot is crushing on our neck. Now we ain't got nothing left. Now we want to, all right, Yahweh, I give it to you. You ain't got nothing now. I don't want that. Go ahead.
And Hezekiah gave him all the silver that was found in the house of Yahweh.
Check that out. Now you got to start taking gold out the house. See, this is what happens when you don't fight your people to do right. But we want to be neutral in every spot. No, you got to fight Israel to do right. Because when he come take that gold off the doors, they taking the gold off the doors off all of our temple. That ain't just one person temple. All of us got to deal with that being gone. All of us going to have to pay that tribute. Go ahead.
And in the treasures of the king's house. At that time did Hezekiah cut off the gold from the doors of the temple of Yahweh, and from the pillars which Hezekiah king of Yehudah had overlaid, and gave it to the king of Assyria.
Check that out. You keep disobeying Yahweh, keep operating how you want. Here this man is, but what did it say? He wasn't against Yahweh. Don't matter. You the ruler of this people, right? Your people went against Yahweh, right? Well, then there it is. Let me get that gold out your house, bro. Yeah, let me get those doorknobs. Those nice doorknobs. Look at that. Boy, them doorknobs. But do you understand how well off we are? And you got bro, we have a brass doorknob and we think we doing something. Bro, you got gold doorknob, bro. But we think we something when we get a gold chain. But come on. If your brother got a gold doorknob, you understand how many gold chains he already got? By the time he got a gold doorknob. Do you understand this? But then you keep putting Yahweh further and further back. And then he starts taking all that stuff back. They got to knock the gold off the stuff. We talk about how much they were so proud of this temple. And now they got to start knocking off bits and pieces of it to pay tribute. Because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. Why we have to keep doing the same thing over and over? Go ahead.
And the king of Assyria sent Tartan and Rabsaris and Rabshakeh from Lachish to King Hezekiah with a great host against Jerusalem. And they went up and came to Jerusalem. And when they were come up, they came and stood by the conduit of the upper pool, which is in the way of the fuller's field. And when they had called to the king, there came out to them Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, which was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah the son of Asaph the recorder. And Rabshakeh said unto them, Speak you now to Hezekiah, thus says the great king, the king of Assyria, What confidence is this wherein you trusteth? You saith, But they are but vain words. I have counsel and strength for the war. Now in whom does you trust, that you rebelleth against me? Now, behold, you trusteth upon the staff of this bruised reed, even upon Egypt, on which if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh king of Egypt unto all that trust on him.
Right. Pharaoh don't lost his power. Pharaoh don't have the kind of power that he had before. He ain't walking around talking about I'm a man, God in the flesh. I'm God himself. No, he realized he a man because he getting beat up. Once Yahweh took care of that business, he was hey. Wasn't no more respect all over the earth. Go ahead.
But if you say unto me, We trust in Yahweh our Elohim, is not that he, whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah has taken away, and has said to Yehuda and Jerusalem, You shall worship before this altar in Jerusalem? Now therefore, I pray you, give pledges to my master the king of Assyria, and I'll deliver you 2,000 horses, if you be able on your part to set riders upon them. How then will you turn away the face of one captain of the least of my master's servants, and put your trust on Egypt for chariots and for horsemen? Am I now come up without Yahweh against this place to destroy it? Yahweh said to me, Go up against this land and destroy it. Then said Eliakim the son of Hilkiah, and Shebna, and Joah unto Rabshakeh, Speak, I pray you, to your servants in the Syrian language, for we understand it, and talk not with us in the Yehuda's language in the ears of all of the people that are on the wall. But Rabshakeh said unto them, As my master sent me to your master and to you to speak these words, has he not sent me to the men which sit on the wall, that they may eat their own dung and drink their own piss with you?
That's some serious words right there. That's some serious words. I don't think he playing. I don't think he playing right there. That don't sound like lemonade. Go ahead.
Then Rabshakeh stood and cried with a loud voice in the Yehudi's language, and spake, saying, Hear the word of the great king, the king of Assyria. Thus says the king, Let not Hezekiah deceive you, for he shall not be able to deliver you out of his hand. Neither let Hezekiah make you trust in Yahweh, saying, Yahweh will surely deliver us, and this city shall not be delivered into the hand of the king of Assyria. Hearken not to Hezekiah, for thus says the king of Assyria, Make an agreement with me by a present, and come out to me, and then eat you every man of his own vine, and every one of his fig tree, and drink you every one the waters of his cistern, until I come and take you away to a land like your own land, a land of corn and wine, a land of bread and vineyards, a land of oil olive and of honey, that you may live and not die. And hearken not unto Hezekiah, when he persuadeth you, saying, Yahweh will deliver us.
Understand something. It is a effective way to rule over a people when you remove them out of everything that they are connected to. When you take those people and you move them into another land, they will take on other cultures. They will now start to worship. You have removed them away from the temple where they worship. You have removed them away from the people that is the basis of who they are. Now it's easier for them to change. Why you think the nations push us to go and do so many things? You know, they say, you know, hey, every kid need to go off to college and go way off. What the hell you think happened when new kids go 12 states over? They can't even get home if they wanted to. What the hell you think? Oh, that child brain easier to get into. That child is, and you are at the mercy of whatever psychotic individual they share a room with. What's happening? What happened when every one of our ball players, these folks ain't been around no other nationality of people. Go to college, come out, and they married to somebody who don't look nothing like them. What happened? What happened? Did you marry the first person you saw that didn't look like you? Because you ain't seen nobody look like that. Nowhere you done been. 3 years of college before you go pro, you married somebody that don't look nothing like you. What happened? They got those years. And in those years where those people were very, very impressionable, they threw everything out of. Got them pledging all of these things. Now we black Greeks. How the hell, where the hell they get a black Greek from? Oh yeah, we all the way deep into it. Right. They got us and we gone. That ain't nothing new. Well, didn't they go get Daniel and them? They said, give me the best of your people and bring them over here. What up? We're going to give them a scholarship. What do you think that was? So that we can teach them the language and the culture of the Chaldeans. What was that? That was a scholarship. So give me yours who got a 4.0. I'm going to get them and I'm going to teach them our culture. In other words, on the outside, they're going to look like you. But on the inside, they're going to be us. And then I'm going to send them back in your neighborhood. And then they're going to train you to be me. So this might seem like it's a stupid thing. Why would you conquer land and take all the people out of it? You think these people knew the conquering lands? This is what they do. So this removal has a purpose. And look, they ain't asked you to do nothing that they didn't do. They take their own kids at 12 and go and put them with somebody else and let that person do whatever they want to do to them. Now, if somebody do that to their own kid, what the hell you think they're going to do to yours? You wonder why you didn't make it in the music industry and all of those things. Man, you read some of this stuff that Usher was sent to go live with Puffy for a year and a half straight when he was 13 years old. You let that pedophile have your kid? Oh, I can tell you, no, mine wasn't going to make it. So, Sock, we just need you to have, no, just drop him off. What? What are you talking about? Yeah, just drop him off and we gonna teach him, we gonna learn him some things. No, hell you not. See, they know which people to give deals and which people not to. When it looked like that guy might be slightly throwed, when he looked like he might kill you, he not gonna get the deal. I kept figuring out why I would get right to the signing table and I couldn't get the deal. They saw that look in my eye. Yes, they saw that look. They were like, "Oh, he's slightly throwed. I don't think this is gonna work out for us." Go ahead, bro. They should have saw that in Kanye's eye. They wouldn't have signed it. See, they done messed up now. You done messed up. Too late. You done messed up. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 33. Has any of the gods of the nations delivered at all his land out of the hand of the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and of Arpad? Where are the gods of Sepharvaim?
Wait a minute. Wait. The gods of Sepharvaim. Wait a minute. So it says there are two main rabbis there. There's one that's Ashkenazi. The other one is Sephardic. He then asked the question, where are the gods of Hamath, of Arpad? Where are the gods of Sepharvaim? Wait a minute. They worship something different, them Sephardic people. Those not Israelites. So we got two rabbis, none of which have any ties to to Israel. What?
Hena and Iva, have they delivered Samaria out of mine hand? Who are they among all the gods of the countries that have delivered their country out of mine hand, that Yahweh should deliver Jerusalem out of mine hand? But the people held their peace and answered him not a word, for the king's commandment was, saying, Answer him not. Then came Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, which was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah the son of Asaph the recorder, to Hezekiah with their clothes rent, and told him the words of Rabshakeh.
All right. So now let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 11. Because now we need to go into this in another direction here. So it's just a little bit hypocritical when the slurs are connected to lineage, but you cannot mention lineage when it comes to any of them. That's kind of interesting. So you need to catch that out of that. And Yahweh is not fooled at all. So we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 11, and we're going to start at verse 13, because there's simple words, and sometimes you don't know why simple words are the way they are. Just like, hearing, Cushi. You won't. This will be the derogatory term that you will hear in the streets of Israel, and you might not even understand what they even saying to you. Well, you're gonna know now. Well, there's some other things that if people even say them that they're derogatory, you need to know why. Let's go Deuteronomy 11 and start at verse 13.
And it shall come to pass, if you shall hearken diligently unto my commandments, which I command you this day, to love Yahweh your Elohim, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, that I will give you the rain of your land in his due season, the first rain and the latter rain, that you may gather in your corn and your wine and your oil. And I'll send grass in your fields for your cattle, that you may eat and be full. Take heed to yourselves, that your heart be not deceived, and you turn aside and serve other gods and worship them. And then Yahweh's wrath be kindled against you, and he shut up the heaven, that there be no rain, and that the land yield not her fruit, and lest you perish quickly from off the good land which Yahweh gives you. Therefore shall you lay up these my words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall teach them your children, speaking of them when you sit in your house, and when you walketh by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up.
All right, now if you're doing this, then your kids are learning some other things. But if you're doing a song and dance, and you're making people pass out, and folks is speaking in fake tongues, then that means the true letting of this real doctrine get in their head, the history, the lineage, none of that is going from generation to generation, because we too busy shouting and dancing. You'd be surprised to find out how many Gentiles are the ones who funded those black churches. You'd be surprised to find out. You don't ever see them. And you got to go in the back room and see when the money changes hand. Then you see the guy. You hey, who's that guy? I ain't see him in church. But he back there with the deacons counting the money. Where he come from? Oh, yeah. That's the guy they got to pay that percentage to. That's who he is. Go ahead.
And you shall write them upon the doorposts of your house and upon your gates, that your days may be multiplied, and the days of your children in the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers to give them, as the days of heaven upon the earth. For if you shall diligently keep all these commandments which I command you, to do them, to love Yahweh your Elohim, to walk in all his ways, and to cleave unto him, then will Yahweh drive out all these nations from before you, and you shall possess greater nations and mightier than yourselves. Every place wherein the soles of your feet shall tread shall be yours, from the wilderness and Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even unto the uttermost sea shall your coast be. There shall no man be able to stand before you, For Yahweh your Elohim shall lay the fear of you and the dread of you upon all the land that you shall tread upon, as he has said unto you. Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing, if you obey the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, which I command you this day. And a curse, if you will not obey the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, but turn aside out of the way which I commanded you this day, to go after other gods which you have not known.
Now, this is also a part of the hypocritical view where by Israel, the people who possess the land, the occupiers, if you will, get to have all the curses, all the blessings, but none of the curses. Yet we know that Israel has a history of not doing right, according to what's written in this book. How is it that you have had all the blessing but none of the curses? Go ahead.
That was in verse 28.
That was it? Yeah. So let's go now. I want to read something. There was one part in here that... Where was that? Because it was one little word here that it's the same word that got old boy fired. Because he said Lamont Hill. He said from the river to the sea. It says, verse 24, every place wherein the soles of your feet shall tread shall be yours. From the wilderness of Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even unto the uttermost sea. That one phrase got him fired because he said from the river to the sea. And I want to read something here. This is called the Oded Yinon Plan. It says there is a strong political movement in Israel that is backing the infamous Oded Yinon plan. It is even rumored that the supporters of this plan have a place in Prime Minister Netanyahu's government. What is the Oded Yinon plan? The plan is named after a Jewish scholar who wrote an essay about it in 1982, a strategy for Israel in the 1980s. The greater Israel is advocated in the Oded Yinon plan extends to a straight demarcation line southwest from the estuary of the Euphrates to the Red Sea, a huge area. Okay, part of the things that you're going to read, you're going to go and you're going to hear certain terms. You're going to hear Lebanon, you're going to hear Syria. Okay. Within this current offensive, which started October 7th, we're in the third month. They have already had an offensive in Lebanon. They have already gone to Syria. 3 months. They're no longer. This is way deeper than Israel. Syria and Lebanon already in 3 months. Okay? What is the greater Israel plan? They want from the river to the sea. Interesting. And this was a plan put forth in how to do it. It says, the greater Israel idea envisions the creation of a number of allied states around Israel. These include Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, Sinai, as well as parts of Iraq and Saudi Arabia. Wait a minute. This plan go back to 82. What they had already put in plan, we gonna get the greater Israel. So you gonna bite off pieces of all these people's country? Hey, this thing about to get interesting. If this the plan they implementing, it's about to get interesting. Cause you gonna be hard pressed for them people to just, all right, y'all can have that south part. Are you what? Oh, this gonna be interesting right here. And all of a sudden, Russia had one thought process when it came to Syria. On the 28th and 29th, Russia shot down 10 missiles that Israel shot over there. Their bomb system shot them right out of there. Bop, 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 bop. Done. Okay. Okay. All right. The division then depends on the ethnic or sectarian composition of each territory. Iraq can be cited as an example. This country could fall apart in a state for the Kurds, one for the Sunnis, and one for the Shia. To survive, Israel would have to become an imperial regional power. This is written in the 80s. Okay? The satellite states surrounding Israel should be subordinate and form the basis for the Pax Israelium, the fragmentation of all Arab states into smaller units has been a recurring theme in Zionist strategic thinking. It is not new. It wasn't new in 1980. He wrote it in 1980 and it wasn't new then. So it was already a plan to bite off bits and pieces of all these other countries. But to do that, I have to make you believe that I own the deed. And how do I persuade you that I own the deed? I have to persuade you that I am those ethnic people, but I won't let you question me ethnically. So I'm going to prove you have to believe that the land is mine, but I won't engage in any questions of lineage. But I own the deed through my lineage, but you're not able to ask me any lineage questions. Matter of fact, if you do, you are anti-Semitic. That's a hell of a trick. Some followers of the Oded Yanan plan do not see the plan outlined above as merely an ideal, but they read it as if it's already in reality. To cite the examples of Iraq, again, the Iran-Iraq War of 1988 would fit into that plan. Lines are also drawn with the Lebanon War in 2006 and the ongoing wars in Syria and the wider Middle East. In other words, they said it's always been in plan. And each one of these offensive is another chess move to bring that about. Interesting. All right, brother, where we going? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 11. I just figured we'd pause for a second, and because it's interesting, and let me make sure I read that what I just wrote what I just read came from Christians for Israel International. Okay, that wasn't the thoughts and. If you have heard, were not necessarily the thoughts of the priest who said them. Thank you. That was my disclaimer. You can go to the Christians for Israel because what's happening? They are starting to notice, wait a minute, Israel up to no good. Right. And they're using all American money to do it. Isaiah chapter 11, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
$7.23.
All right, go ahead, brother. I'm going to get you in.
And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. And the Spirit of Yahweh shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of Yah. And shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of Yah, and he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together. And the lion shall eat straw like the ox, and the sucking child shall play on the hole of the ass, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice's den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahweh as the waters cover the sea. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious.
And there shall be a root of Jesse. Now we're dealing with the real star of David that people really don't want to deal with. They just say they do. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the Adonai shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people.
Wait a minute. So the great recovering of his people is going to be done by him, not by man. I keep telling folks like, I got enough money to get a ticket. That ain't got nothing to do with Yahweh. I'm trying to tell you now, he got some other things that have to happen. There's some sanctification that have to happen. You can't just walk up in there. It don't work like that. Go ahead.
Which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea.
Now, we've read that. You know what really just occurred to me? How they get in all those places? You realize we were captive in all these places, right? Mm-hmm. We just read about Assyria. Who came and got the Assyrians? Okay, mm-hmm. Egypt, captivity. Mm-hmm. Pathros, understand, that's still part of the Egyptian. Cush, still part of the Egyptian ruler. Elam, Shinar is Babel. They just asked about Hamath. What are the gods of Hamath and Arpad? Mm-hmm. So when people said that they immigrated, we have to ask, well, how do you get down there? Because I don't hear you talking about any captivity except a so-called Egyptian one. All these happened after Egypt. How is it I don't hear you discussing that? How is it I can't find any of that in your history? Every last one of these are places that we were captives in. How is it you can't offer us a captivity? With all of these post-Egyptian captivities that we're reading, how is it that you can tell us, you can go all the way back? Do you know how far you got to go back to call somebody a Cushi? All right. We're right here in the book. You had to go here to get Cushi. But I still got captivities that you can't explain here. But you went back with your racial slur here. Okay. Keep reading.
And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Yehudah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Yehudah, and Yehudah shall not vex Ephraim. But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west. They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. And Yahweh shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the seven streams, and make men go over dry shod. And there shall be an highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria.
Wait a minute. A highway for his people that was left from Assyria. We were captives there. What?
Like as it was to Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt.
Wait a minute. Then he mentions the Egyptian captivity. How is it that somebody can tell me every time we get into this discussion, people say, well, you know, we were slaves in Egypt. All right, well, tell me about Assyria. What about Babylon? I mean, surely you got some. There's so many. What about, Midian? Tell me about all these other captivities that have happened after Egypt. Come on, I'm listening. But you can't ask that question if your pastor is singing and dancing. You can only ask that question if your pastor is making you read. You don't have the necessary articles to ask that question when you dancing, talking about how loose the woman is, and people is passing out and speaking tongue. You don't have the necessary articles to ask that question. But that's a valid question. There are too many other captivities that we've had to go through for somebody to stand in front of us, claim that they were slaves in Egypt, but not tell us any other captivity after that. I'm going to need you to mention about 20 more. And how is it that individuals are able to get on television and not one person holds them accountable? Not one. Not one person asks this question. Well, I mean, we know they're going to lose their job if they do. I think Mark Lamont Hill knew he was losing his job when he made that statement, from the river to the sea. I think he knew he was going to lose it. He looked around, and when I say this, baby, go ahead and pack my stuff. Baby, go ahead and pack my stuff. Hey, when the man who took over after my elder, I knew I was getting kicked out that day. When I questioned him, when he said you should obey the man and not the book, and I called him on it. Once I made the first statement, I said, you know what, I'm already getting kicked out, so you know what? Let's do the damn thing. So I went out in classic Esaac style. I thought they kicking me out today. But I'm talking about, man, it was a straight debate right in the middle of the sanctuary. I said, no, then other people stand up. Yo, this ain't the time, Sock. I said, no, this the time. Let him answer. He up there. He got the microphone. Let him answer. I knew I was getting kicked out that day, so I was like, I might as well do everything. Not knowing that the next leadership was actually using me to establish theirs. So instead of me getting kicked out, that's what they used to kick him out. Yeah, the games we play. And you're gonna learn a lot dealing with Israel. You gonna learn a lot. Let's go to Amos, chapter 9.
Amos chapter 9 and verse 1. I saw the Adonai standing upon the altar, and he said, smite the lintel of the door, that the posts may shake, and cut them in the head, all of them. And I will slay the last of them with the sword. He that flees of them shall not flee away, and he that escapes of them shall not be delivered. Though they dig into hell, thence shall mine hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. And though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, I'll search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. And though they go into captivity before their enemies, thence will I command the sword, and it shall slay them. And I'll set mine eyes upon them for evil and not for good. And the Adonai Elohim of hosts is he that touches the land, and it shall melt. And all that dwell therein shall mourn, and it shall rise up wholly like a flood, and shall be drowned, as by the flood of Egypt. It is he that builds his stories in the heaven, and has founded his troop in the earth. He that calls for the waters of the sea, and pours them out upon the face of the earth. Yahweh is his name. Are you not as children of the Ethiopians unto me?
But he be tripping, don't he? He be tripping. Go ahead.
O children of Israel, says Yahweh, Have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Caphtor, and the Syrians from Ker?
Right. See, people don't even understand when they're using their little racial slurs that if you're listening to somebody who's just singing and dancing and doing those fake pass outs, then you really are not equipped to have the conversation. But if you've had a certain amount of education, when they turn around and use those racial slurs, you can then back up and say, okay, yeah, you're trying to say that's a descendant of Ham. But here's the problem. Moshe was able to be amongst those people and be raised as their son. How is that if they didn't look anything alike? Now you're gonna get escorted off the program. Now you're gonna get escorted off the program. See, now if you're doing that other stuff, you get to stay on the program. All right. So if you're wondering why you hadn't been invited to those other places, there you go right there. So maybe you might need to, do some fake pass outs, and then they'll invite you, and then surprise them with the real word. But I'm sure your mic gonna get cut off. Go ahead.
Behold, the eyes of the Adonai are upon the sinful kingdom, and I'll destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, says Yahweh. For, lo, I'll command, and I'll sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve. Yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth.
Wait a minute. For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all the nations. I'm going to spread Israel all over the creation. Yet the people in the land said, there's no reason to look for any lost tribes of Israel. Of course not. Because those people going to clearly say, who them? They don't want to find no real. The last thing you want if you a fake family is for somebody to go find real family. When you just, get into a barbecue, you really don't belong there. You just, you know what? Y'all know Cousin P. Yeah, look here. Can I get one of them barbecue plates? And then Cousin P show up for real. Say, Cousin P, you know that? No, I don't know that. Hurry up and get the barbecue sauce. You know what I'm saying? So you trying to hurry up at that family barbecue before the real family show up. Right. Go ahead.
All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say, the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof. And I'll raise up his ruins, and I'll build it as in the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom.
Wait a minute. Now we getting interesting, because now he's talking about the children of Israel possessing the remnant of Edom. Now we talking, because while everybody's playing their game, Yahweh know who all the players really are, no matter what mask they put on. Go ahead.
And of all the heathen which are called by my name.
Wait a minute. Now, why does he connect those two? That the children of Israel may possess the remnant of Edom, and all the heathen which are called by my name. Wait a minute. So there's a heathen who's calling himself by the name of Israel. That's peculiar. Where can we find such a thing? That's peculiar. Let's keep reading, brother.
Says Yahweh that does this. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes him that sows seed. And the mountains shall drop sweet wine, and all the hills shall melt.
Now, we have a lot of epithets about us, but ain't now one of them Israel. See, we are a very small remnant who know who we are. The majority of our people, you saw those coliseums when they was doing those fake pass outs. And one of the videos I saw, Tyler Perry even met. Now T.D. Jakes make people pass out. But if you bring $1 million, you can make him pass out. Now, ain't that something? Tyler Perry made him pass out. He said, I'm giving $1 million. T.D. said, he was out. He was gone. I promise if y'all give $1 million, I promise I won't pass out. Y'all want to try it? Man, that check gonna bounce all over town. Go ahead, bro. I need 32 brothers to catch that check. I said, you get it. Go ahead, man.
And I'll bring again the captivity of my people of Israel, and they shall build the waste cities and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and drink the wine thereof. They shall also make gardens and eat the fruit of them. And I'll plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land which I have given them. He says Yahweh.
All right, so Yahweh is pretty serious about this giving them of the land. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 60. He is pretty serious. He says, okay, no more will they go through these things. Isaiah 60, let's start at verse 1.
Arise, shine, for your light is come, and the glory of Yahweh is risen upon you. For, behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But Yahweh shall arise upon you, and his glory shall be seen upon you. And the Gentiles shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising.
The Gentiles shall come to your light. Go ahead.
Lift up your eyes round about, and see. All they gather themselves together, they come to you. Your sons shall come from afar. Your daughters shall be nursed at your side. Then you shall see and flow together, and your heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto you. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto you. The multitudes of camels shall cover you. The dromedaries of Midian and Ephah, all they from Sheba shall come. They shall bring gold and incense, and they shall show forth the praises of Yahweh.
Right. We cannot forget the Arab slave trade and how they have ruled over us. And they got to come and bring their offering and the people that's left over in their land as well. See, a lot of times we want to deal with just the things that are happening here. Oh, no. They got big things they got to deal with too. Go ahead.
All the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered together unto you. The rams of Nabaioth shall minister unto you. They shall come up with acceptance on mine altar, and I'll glorify the house of my glory. Who are these that fly as a cloud, and as the doves to their windows? Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Spain first to bring your sons from far, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of Yahweh Yireh, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he has glorified you.
Right. And them ships of Spain was the ones that started all of this mess with that transatlantic slave trade. When they have their whole thing about running with the bulls, who you think the bull is? The bull is you. They have this whole festival, and they don't care if people get gored by the bull. The whole thing is them running the bull out of Spain. What did they do? They ran the Moors out of Spain. So then they sell. Everybody knows this except you. That they are celebrating running the black bull. It's the black power. They ran the black power out. And once they got rid of the Moors, once they got the black power out of Spain, they went on a hellacious rant to make sure that they would never be ruled over by the black people again. They pushed the most horrific part of the slave trade. And we keep going over. We think, well, there's a nice tint to the skin of the people in Spain. Yeah, because the Moors said, look, we need 100 virgins every so often. Come on, my brother. But they ain't virgins but one time. I can tell you how that tent got there. Everybody know that except you. So when they have they put the little running with the bulls on TV, that's the part they won't never tell you about. That's why you'll go places. One group of the people love you, the other people hate you, and you can't figure out why. Go ahead.
And the sons of strangers shall build up your walls, and their kings shall minister unto you. For in my anger I smote you, but in my favor have I had mercy on you. Therefore your gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto you the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve you shall perish. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto you, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I'll make the place of my feet glorious. The sons also of them that afflicted you shall come bending unto you, and all they that despised you shall bow themselves down at the soles of your feet, and they shall call you the city of Yahweh, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas you have been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through you, I'll make you an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. You shall also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shall suck the breast of kings, and you shall know that I, Yahweh, am your Savior and your Redeemer, the mighty one of Yaakov.
Right. Remember those times when our people had to breastfeed their kids? They said, I can't stand, black people. Well, you got black milk running all the way through you. I don't know how you can't stand them. Because let me tell you something. If I can't stand somebody, I sure don't want your DNA in there. Go ahead.
For brass, I will bring gold, and for iron, I will bring silver, and for wood, brass, and for stones, iron. I will also make your officers peace, and your exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in your land, wasting nor destruction within your borders. But you shall call your walls salvation, and your gates praise. The sun shall be no more your light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto you. But Yahweh shall be unto you an everlasting light, and your Elohim your glory. Your sun shall no more go down, neither shall your moon withdraw itself. For Yahweh shall be your everlasting light, and the days of your mourning shall be ended. Your people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified.
Right. So then we have to ask, ourselves, if Yahweh is saying that he's going to give this land to his people, then there's a complete push for another group of people to get and hold that land. Who has to be leading those other people? I mean, Yahweh has an adversary. Okay, so if he has his angels moving in one direction to go and get all of Israel that have been scattered all across the globe and do all of these things, but they have to be done at a certain time, then there's somebody else who really doesn't care about the time. Matter of fact, they need to get it before any of that happens anyway. So you have to then ask, okay, who's leading that offensive? Okay, go ahead.
A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, Yahweh, will hasten it in his time.
All right, let's go to Isaiah chapter 45. And we're going to just read a couple verses out of here. There's a couple of things that we just going to have a couple verses out, but I need for you to hear it. Isaiah 45, and we're going to read verses 14 through 17.
Thus says Yahweh, the labor of Egypt, and merchandise of Ethiopia, and of the Sabaeans, men of stature, shall come over unto you, and they shall be yours. They shall come after you. In chains they shall come over, and they shall fall down unto you. They shall make supplication unto you.
Wait a minute. They shall make supplication unto you. This is one thing he told, from everything else we've read in the book. When somebody bow down and pray to you, you're like, no, man, don't do that. You worship Elohim. No, he said, no, they're going to pray to you. Go ahead.
Saying, surely Elohim is in you.
Elohim is in you. So by praying to you, I am praying to Elohim. That's a long stretch from you a dog and you this and you that and you less than human. It's a long stretch. Go ahead.
But even with that statement, Elohim is in you, shouldn't that then be reflected by you? Do we see that being reflected by the people that's there now?
No. It depends on what God you're talking about. Because I definitely see a God in there.
Come on.
Read, bro.
And there's none else. There's no El. Verily you art a El that hideth yourself, O Elohim of Israel, the Savior. They shall be ashamed and also confounded, all of them. They shall go to confusion together that are makers of idols. But Israel shall be saved in Yahweh with an everlasting salvation. You shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end.
All right. Now let's go to chapter 49. Isaiah chapter 49. And we're going to read verses 22 through 26.
Thus says the Adonai Yah, behold, I will lift up mine hand to the Gentiles, and set up my standard to the people, and they shall bring your sons in their arms, and your daughters shall be carried upon their shoulders, and kings shall be your nursing fathers, and their queens your nursing mothers.
Queens gonna take care of your children. Think about that. Who babysitting your kid? King Leopold. You know what I'm saying? I drop my kid. Look, man, I gotta go, man. Me and my family gotta go to the summer house. I need King Leopold watch my kids. I'll be back sometime in February, March, or something. Right? Wait a minute. He got to make all wrongs right. He got to make all wrongs right. Somebody got to pay that bill. That is pretty deep. You got to understand. When a woman is breastfeeding another child, the woman makes enough milk for what's happening with her child. If she keep breastfeeding other kids, there ain't no milk left for her. Hers is hungry. So while everybody was partaking, they didn't understand. That was like a life credit card. You can keep swiping, but somebody gonna pay that bill. Now, it wasn't that generation that did it, but somebody gotta pay that bill. You can't get no deeper than somebody else's child taking the DNA food from another newborn. You can't get no deeper than that. Somebody gotta pay that bill. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you feel. Somebody got to pay that bill. And the interest does accrue. Go ahead.
You know, it's not like today where you can pump the breast milk and put it aside. When the milk was done, your kid over there starving.
Yeah. Ain't no freezing it. Ain't no freezing it. Go ahead.
They shall bow down to you with their faces toward the earth and lick up the dust of your feet. And you shall know that I am Yahweh, for they shall not be ashamed that wait for me.
They shall bow down to you with their face toward the earth and lick up the dust of your feet. These his words, not mine. So please make sure when you have all of your, upset emails, make sure you address those to Yahweh. Make sure. Go ahead.
Shall the prey be taken from the mighty, or the lawful captive delivered? But thus says Yahweh, even the captives of the mighty shall be taken away, and the prey of the terrible shall be delivered. For I'll contend with them that contends with you, and I'll save your children. And I'll feed them that oppress you with their own flesh, and they shall be drunken with their own blood, as with sweet wine. And all flesh shall know that I, Yahweh, am your Savior and your Redeemer, the mighty one of Yaakov.
All right. Now let's go to Jeremiah chapter 16. Jeremiah 16. And we're going to read verses 14 through 21.
Therefore, behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that it shall no more be said, Yahweh lives, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But Yahweh lives, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands whither he had driven them.
He had driven them. They didn't just move on their own. Go ahead.
And I'll bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. You know, my brother, you keep saying about that one captivity that they keep talking about, Egypt. He just corrected that. He said, yeah, you can't keep crying about Egypt alone.
I'm telling you, man, I don't know how we allowed this to be told us, for all this time. I listened to that when Adam Sandler was talking about, he said, yeah, I'm Jewish and we're supposed to have been slaves in Egypt. He said that on an interview. He said we were supposed to have been slaves in Egypt. He said himself, I don't believe that. Right. How in the world did we let somebody tell us with all these captivities? I know how we let them tell us because we was too busy, paying for them fake pass outs and dancing and stuff. Now you understand why it seemed like we were getting help when those other individuals showed up during the civil rights movement and they were so-called helping us. They were helping us get weaker. They were like, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's do this desegregation. This is going to be the best thing for us. Because they are going to get weaker as a people the more they separate. Yeah, let's let them move everywhere. Because if they keep living here, there's no choice. Do you understand? If we all live in the same place, there's no choice but to give us black representatives. Because everybody's black. Everybody, no matter who, whether it's a black Republican or a black Democrat, it doesn't matter. They were going to be black. So desegregation did a job and a number on us. If they left us alone, we were going to have too many representatives standing in their governmental office. So they convinced us. You'll be better off if you move over here. Come on, Jed, move away from there. They said California is the place you ought to be. So they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly. Right? Right. That way they can diversify and we can't get together. And every time too many of us get in one area, they redraw the lines of the district all over again. To make sure it ain't too many of us standing in D.C. And we just are going and voting. We just are going to vote. We just, people like, if you don't vote, you don't count. How the hell you vote and you still don't count?
That's right.
They put your votes in that trash can over there. Why you think your voting place keep changing every year? You found out I'm in the wrong school. Last time I voted at Flat Shoals Elementary. Now they got me over here at Sky Haven Elementary. I don't know what's going on. Right. You still ain't figured out the trick yet. Go ahead.
I mean, when you put it like that, you got to look at what they're doing. They're still scattering the children of Israel in modern day and time.
Yes, sir.
It ain't never stopped.
Yes, sir.
And we keep thinking it's going to be better for us over here. Gonna be better. Come on, baby. Read, man.
Behold, I'll send for many fishers, says Yahweh, and they shall fish them. And after will I send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill, and out of the holes of the rock. For mine eyes are upon all their ways. They're not hid from my face, neither is their lawlessness hid from mine eyes.
Right. We may be what the people said on that program, the Limber. They said we're not lost. We're scattered. We're not lost tribes of Israel. We're scattered tribes of Israel. And they did those people's DNA and said, wait a minute, they have more DNA of ancient Israelites than the people in the land. And that was the white Jew who said it. I ain't seen him on no television program. I'm just saying, since you mentioned that, I think that was his last program. Go ahead, bro.
And
Right, but that means he paid a heavy cost then. All right. So that means when we walk in, he get to walk in with us. He made a sacrifice. So be careful who you say don't get to come in. No. He made a sacrifice. If I'm in charge of the gate, hey, buddy, come on in here. I remember you. Yeah, I know. I ain't see you but one time, but that's all right. I ain't see you but one time, but that's all right. Your one time did your thing. Come on in here. What? What did the harlot do? She ain't do nothing but one time. All right. Okay. All right. And it overrode all her whoredom, right? All right, then. All right. Go ahead, bro.
And first I will recompense their lawlessness and their sin double, because they have defiled my land. They have filled mine inheritance with the carcasses of their detestable and abominable things. O Yahweh, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction, the Gentiles shall come unto you from the ends of the earth, and shall say, Surely our fathers have inherited lies,
Uh-huh.
vanity, and things wherein there is no profit.
Now, if I have to go back to the lineage about who's a Gentile, I go back to Genesis 10 and I find those long list of names, and we understand how that leads us back to of European descent and otherwise. Okay, go ahead.
Shall a man make gods unto himself, and they are no gods? Therefore, behold, I will this once cause them to know, I'll cause them to know mine hand and my might, and they shall know that my name is Yahweh.
All right, now let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Revelation chapter 3. Revelation chapter 3, and we're going to read verses 9 through 13.
Verse 9. Behold, I'll make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Yehudims, and are not, but do lie.
Now, let every man be convinced in his own mind who you believe that is. But clearly, the Most High was already aware that somebody was going to present themselves as being Israel, and they are not. Understand, it says, I Yahweh, I do declare the end before the beginning. That's what makes him a great Elohim, that he tells you, I'm going to tell you exactly how it's going to end before it starts. I'm telling you that there's going to be people that's going to tell you that they are Jews, and they are not. So then we just have to ask ourselves, okay, who are those people? But there was show a prophecy that somebody was going to do it. And I mean, you consider, look at all of the movies, the Raiders of the Lost Ark. What was, all these things were about possessing the ancient artifacts of Israel. And if you possess them, then you rule the world. So, of course he knew somebody was going to do it. If I can possess either the people, the artifacts, or the land, I can rule the world. And how do they get to do it? Just by saying, okay, I am these people. But enough time has to pass. You can't just move these people on Monday, go in on Tuesday and say, I'm these people. So enough time had to pass so that it would be believable. But this was written a very long time ago, that there were going to be Jews who would parade themselves as Jews, but would be of Satan. Remember when I said if Yahweh is leading one offensive, who has to be leading the other? Okay, go ahead.
You know, brother, even we get a fight, we're not even saying that we're Jews. We say we're Hebrew Israelites.
Mm-hmm. The interesting part, that's what was so funny. They're not 12 tribes of Jews. How can everybody be a Jew? We all can't be Jews. It is not possible. But you see how we take hold of a twisted doctrine and then we go, you know, like your homeboy over there, Wycliffe. This right here, this gold chain, this is for the 12 tribes of Judah. I wanted to jump through the TV and slap the dreads off his head. 12 tribes of Judah? Ain't no such animal. How you be that smart and that stupid at the same time? But you see, let other people tell it. They're all Jews. That would also explain why they don't want to look for any lost tribes. They sure don't want no Beta Israel. They don't want no nothing. But it was already known that somebody was going to do that. Now, you bring up a very interesting point. Why didn't he say that they would say that they are Israelites and are not? Why he didn't say if they are, they will proclaim that they are Jacob?
Come on.
Why didn't he say that? Because that would encompass the whole 12 tribes. Why did he just specifically go right to Jew?
Yes, sir.
That's peculiar. Right. Go ahead.
I'll make them to come and worship before your feet.
Well, I don't know who they is, but I know what they're going to do when the real folks show up. That's all I'm saying. I don't know who they is. Y'all find out who they is. We going to know who they is when I look down and I see you. That's how I'm going to know who it is. I'm not trying to figure out who nobody is. I'm not trying to point out that's you. All I'm going to do is they're going to look down. All right, that's them. Go ahead.
And to know that I have loved you, because you have kept the word of my patience, I also will keep you from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth.
Right. That's why we make it through certain things, not because you so strong. You might fall and get to a certain point. He stop you right before you fall off the cliff. And you think that was you. That wasn't you. I look back at some things and I realized, man, there ain't no way in the world I was supposed to live through that. And I realized that wasn't me. Go ahead.
Behold, I come quickly. Hold fast which you have, that no man take your crown. Him that overcomes will I make a pillar in the temple of my Elohim, and he shall go no more out. And I'll write upon him the name of my Elohim, and the name of the city of Mael, which is New Jerusalem, which comes down out of heaven from Mael. And I'll write upon him my new name. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.